So this sounds pretty complicated, but how does it work? Can you break it down so that someone like me would understand it who maybe doesn't have a scientific background?
Let's try. There's this thing called the primal brain, which we share with other animals from evolution. We can instinctively react to and run from a lion just like a gazelle can. And this part of the brain moves fast, and it's actually situated lower inside of the head than kind of this rational brain that we humans and some of the mammals have grown through evolution. But this primal brain, it reacts strongly to 6 stimuli, and these are 6 stimuli that anyone can take and apply to their marketing. So there's personal, contrastable, tangible, memorable, visual, and emotional. So let me explain each one a little bit. So personal, we already know about personalization. That is important because the brain, the primal brain, reacts to me. I need to survive. It doesn't have patience or empathy, and it doesn't have concern for its well-being. It scans for threats before it attends to pleasure. Vigilance drives the speed and nature of its response. So really, things that are about me, of course, react strongly to this primal brain. And then things that are contrastable. So the primal brain is sensitive to before and after. You think of those weight loss programs. If you just show the person, after they have lost weight, but you don't show the before pic, the marketing response is going to be way less than if you show the before and after. Things like risky versus safe, have not, slow, fast, faster solution versus slow. This contrast allows the brain to make quick, risk-free decisions. Otherwise the brain has to slow down and process. And then tangible. So the primal brain is always looking for something that's familiar and friendly, that can be recognized quickly, something that's simple, concrete, and just easy. Otherwise, you have to go into this, higher level brain to expend calories, and the brain actually wants to save calories and save energy. So that's why simple messages and value propositions are so important, because this primal brain otherwise can't process complexity without slowing down and using a lot of effort from the higher up or rational brain. If you want to read a book about it, Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Slow and Fast is the de facto book on that. Memorable, things that are memorable. So the primal brain remembers very little, but putting the most important content at the beginning and repeating it at the end is super important to a memorable message that gets from your primal brain all the way up into your memory storage rational brain. So what you say in the middle of your message or delivery should be brief and convincing. Maybe don't go over 3 claims, for example. This primal brain really loves stories as well, because a good narrative is a pattern that we can easily process. It requires fewer calories, so to speak, to process a good narrative, and that makes it easier to remember. So I know this is a lot, but it's a complex thing, so we have to go over these
No, this
6
is fun.
critical points, right? And then, of course, visual. The primal brain is visual. That's why we see hero images on websites and a family holding their kids. The brain processes this stuff really quickly without any effort. You don't have to think, oh, maybe I should have a nice warm feeling to the family with their kids. No, that's all automatic. And that's why that imagery is so important. And then finally, you have emotion, which is that the primal brain is strongly triggered by that. If there's not some sort of emotion, you think about the visual response to that family. There's one aspect, which is the visual response, but then there's also the emotional response, right? Like giving you that that you don't have to think about, that it's this primal reaction to that imagery. So all of these 6 things together, the goal is to engage persuasion slide theory. Like, how do you get someone to take an action, whether it's contact us, buy the product, whatever that CTA is, you have to start with these, some of these 6 primal stimuli to get your user to perform the desired action. So it sounds complicated, but if you can distill it into these 6 things, and then these 6 things are, you have to evaluate your messaging, your website with the imagery, your ads, all of these things you need to use to move people towards action. That's really what we're doing here. So the bottom-up effect, and then getting that kind of boost to activate things like engagement and retention of a marketing message. Phew.